welcome to our January Zoom meeting. We're not going to be very long here tonight. We want to try to be as frugal as possible in regards to, we know everybody's time is of essence. So I do appreciate you guys coming on today in regards to our meeting. We're going to have Mike just talk a little bit about our membership, and Rob's going to give us a little short, brief treasurer's report. And Al and Rob are going to sort of talk a little bit about our clinic coming up in February. And then we're going to go to umpire education. And Chuck Graber and myself will be talking a little bit about pregame meetings and, especially in regards to balks. After this meeting tomorrow, I'm going to send you a handout basically going over some of the things that we're going to talk about. And then Wayne, hopefully he'll come on tonight. He will be talking a little bit about professionalism in regards to how it pertains to our association, but also in regards to walking onto the field and what you should be doing. And then I want to spend some time talking a little bit about, Rob's going to talk a little bit about new rules coming up and some of the old rules from last year that we might have had problems with. And then lastly, I want to talk about the start of a mentoring program and what I'm looking for, our board's looking for in regards to trying to look at improving umpire in the CCUA. So with that being said, I'd like to just turn it over to Mike Meslowski right now and talk a little bit about our membership.
Thanks, Paul. You guys are doing a great job so far of getting your dues in. We've got 60 people, both adjunct and full members, that have joined so far and paid their dues. We also have, as of today, we have 3 new members: Avis King, Jason Staniszewski, and Al Mirza. So thanks, guys, for joining up, and welcome aboard.
Al's with us tonight. Al, welcome to our Zoom meeting here tonight. We appreciate you jumping on here. So thank you very much, Al. If there's any time you have any questions, feel free to shoot an email to myself or anything. And as I said to all of our umpires, I'll say that when I talk about assigning a little bit, please take some more games, especially at the lower class levels. Would be greatly appreciated. Okay. Hey, Rob, a little bit about a treasurer's report, where we are, and then you and Al can move right into the clinic.
You're muted, Rob.
You're muted, Rob.
There you go.
Yep.
Did you unmute me?
Gotcha.
Thank you. All right. So again, thanks everybody for joining this evening. We do have, again, just a rough treasurer's report. We've had no real expenses. We did make a donation on behalf of the CCUA to Dan Marshall's father to St. Linus School. And we will be making a donation to Jim Leapart tonight. Actually, I believe is the wake for his son who passed away earlier this week. But we do have about $4,200 in the account, and we're looking forward to the clinic. We'd like to do a clinic gift. We're looking for some ideas or thoughts there. If you might have some, we have some as a board, but we'd like to make sure that we have some of this, some of this money go back toward the members, and that's what you put it in for. And we'd like to see a benefit from that. So that's where we're at right now, about $4,200 in the account. So. Probably want to go right into the clinic, I suppose.
Yes, please. If you and Al can go right into the clinic.
So Al Albert and I are, and Al's on the call here too. Al, I don't know if you're muted, unmuted, if you want to jump in at all, but the clinic right now is still tentatively scheduled for February 13th at De La Salle. De La Salle has informed us that they do have a conflict now. Even though they said, yes, we can have the clinic there, they do have a conflict in the field house. So De La Salle is looking at another place where we might be able to meet within the school, upstairs in the cafeteria. They also have a meeting room that we can use. It's not perfect, but it is certainly workable. We've done it there before, and it worked out okay. They're also, so again, we're doing our best to hang on to deal this out for February 13th. If that doesn't work out, watch your emails. We've talked to a couple other schools. We've also, looked at a couple other dates. We're not in a hurry to switch dates, guys. We know that everybody has blocked to February 13th. We appreciate that. It's kind of our Super Bowl Sunday clinic. We get you out of there by 1 o'clock, and you're home in plenty of time to grill up the dogs and burgers and ribs and watch the game at 5:20 when it kicks off. So we're going to do everything we can to hold it to February 13th. But please keep your eye on your emails in case there's any changes or certainly some updates there. Al, anything else?
No, just that we, am I on? Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good. Go ahead.
We had a good group, good group lined up for February 13th. Some of the members have made a commitment to do presentations. Drew Fowler was going to do a presentation. We thank him, Pat Weber, Mike Slowinski. Gil Martinez was going to help with the new guys. I know Steve Shaw said he'd help with the table. So we appreciate everybody who pitched in, and we hope that we can do it on the 13th and you don't have to change your plans. The other thing, I know there's been talk about a clinic gift. Again, if anybody has any ideas for suggestions, I know last year we gave out face masks. Years past, we've done T-shirts or the calendars. As Rob said, we have a little bit of money in the kitty, and it's always a good idea to have a little bit of a clinic gift. Any suggestions about the clinic that members might have, don't be afraid to send an email or a phone call to Rob or me. That's it.
Just one other thing I want to point out. I think am I okay? I'm unmuted, right?
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Just one other thing with the clinic gift. What we were talking about at the board meeting is we want to give, a nice gift to our members that come, and then give something, a smaller, amount gift to our non-members that do come to the clinic, because they do pay $25, for coming to the clinic and stuff like that. So, if you do know people that you want to come, but we're looking to, to try to do what we can, to really, think of something nice to give you, because we do have money in our budget. So, for that. So thank you, Al and Rob. I really appreciate the time that you've taken to put together this clinic, because I know it's not an easy process, and I think we do have a really great line of speakers, and we have made some, especially with the topics, we've made some adjustments to the topics, so you're not going to be hearing the same thing over and over. Like, we've had similar topics at some of our past things. You still have to see certain things that we talk about, like level 1, level 2 with mechanics and things like that, because that's just the ICA dictates that. So there's nothing we can do about that. So thank you very much in that regard.
Let me add one other thing, Paul. I just want to make sure that the members know that with the paid dues, the clinic is free. If you are not a member of CCUA and you want to come to the clinic, or you have friends who are umpires with other groups, or they need a clinic, the fee will be $25. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's free to our membership. Correct.
Okay. If I recall, we ran a blue light special last year or something.
Yes, we did. So we did do a little special in regards to the people. We knew that they were. It was $25 at the door, and I don't know if it was $15 or $20 that we charged them if they paid online prior to that. So we did do a little special for that. We plan on doing the same thing. And I also, as I told both you and Rob, I will be sending out a form, to you, a Google form, basically asking you to get to see if you actually are coming. And I'd appreciate if you're not coming. I have no problem with that. You may be going to another clinic. That's totally understandable. But if you are coming, or if you're not coming, please just answer the first question. Are you coming to the clinic? Are you not coming to the clinic? Boom. It's a mandatory question. If you're not coming, you don't have to answer any more questions. If you are coming, then it's like, are you coming for a level 1 or a level 2 clinic, and stuff like that. You might have a shirt size or something on there if we decide to go with a shirt or something like that. So just so you are aware of that, we hope that everybody from our membership does come, and as soon as we can solidify this whole thing about the date and on the clinic, we will do that. With that being said, I'd like to turn it over to if Chuck, I think Chuck is here. I think he's under guest, if I'm not mistaken. Chuck, are you here? Mike, can you unmute the membership for a second? I don't know if they can hear us.
I'm attempting to do that. They can hear us.
Okay, is Chuck Graber here? I thought I saw him under one of the guest things that I'm seeing. I don't see some of you have names under you, but some of you don't.
Yeah, Chuck, if there's an icon right there, you can on the far far left hand side at the bottom of the screen. If you can press that button to unmute yourself. That's you. Okay.
I was right. Okay. Chuck sent me an email, and we really like input from our membership. Chuck sent me an email about a month and a half ago before Christmas, and he said that, hey, one thing that we don't talk about in our pregame meeting with umpires in the parking lot, well, just in general, some of us don't do a lot of pregame talking, but one of the things that we don't specifically talk about is balk. So Chuck's going to talk a little bit about today about how to handle that pregame meeting in the parking lot, with your partner and talk a little bit about balk responsibilities.
Well, Chuck, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
It looks like he's unmuted, right?
It looks like he is.
Paul, this is Don Huber. I'm under guest.
Oh, you're under guest. Okay, I apologize. I apologize, Don. Okay. Chuck sent me an email today. I was under the assumption that he was going to be on. Hopefully, everything's okay with Chuck. So I'll do very briefly in regards to some of the things that he was going to cover, because I was going to sort of be his cohort, I guess. I think one of the things that we failed to do, in that parking lot, because we're coming from work, we're trying to get there. I think every time it's important that you go over your partner, certain responsibilities in regards to where you are, what you're going to be covering. If you're the home plate umpire, I know if I was the home plate umpire, I always try to be the lead person in regards to saying, okay, from home plate in a two-man situation, I'm going to take man on first. You can drop him at second base. I'm gonna be up at third base. Base umpire, you have them all the way around right into third base. We go through every situation and stuff like that. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes to do that. But also in regards to tags, in regards to tagging bases and who on peel plays, who has it's important who has the call. Okay. And it's important that we realize that going in, so we don't have two calls. In particular, when we have a base umpire in the middle of the infield, either in B or C, and all of a sudden we have a ball hit to the outfield and sort of maybe even in the V area that's going to go down. That home plate umpire has to make sure that batter touches first base if it's a single or a double. That's his responsibility. He also has the responsibility for making sure that there's the tag at third base. So depending upon where the runners are, you have as a home plate umpire, you have those responsibilities in regards to making sure that that the tags are there. And that's critical, because again, as I said, you don't ever want to have two different calls in regards to that. You should always make eye contact with your partner when there's appeal, either a verbal appeal or an actual physical appeal in regards to them throwing a ball to a base or stepping on a base. You should always make eye contact with your partner to make sure that you guys are on the same page, that you're not going to have two calls. The reason why actually Chuck we wanted to talk a little bit about this whole concept in regards to the pregame meeting was because, Chuck said, he sent me an article, I think it was out of Officials Magazine, that talked about one of the areas that is not covered is really talking about balks. Who should be looking at what in particular in regards to a situation? When regards to a home plate umpire, what should he be looking at when there's a runner at first base in regards to the pitcher situation? What should the base umpire be looking at? What portion of the body should they be looking at? Okay. And we thought it was an excellent article that was there that I'm going to share with you. Rather than going through all the intricacies in regards to, what you should be looking at when you're in, position B and when you're in position C in regards to the infield, uh, it's important that I think that you look at that. But the reason why we talked about it is when Chuck called me, I said, even at the college level, we have not really spent a lot of time talking about, just that topic. So I thought it was a really good thing that could be covered in regards to a meeting like this, in that regard. So I want to make sure that the whole everybody on the board, everybody at the meeting gets a copy of this so that they can look at it. And then I thought that if there's any questions in regards to the actual balk situation, in regards to umpires, their views in regards to what they should be doing in regards to this, we can talk about it at our next meeting, or you feel free to shoot me an email in regards to I can answer anything in regards to that. But I will be sending that out via Arbiter in regards to that article so that you have it so you can look at it. But I really thought it was a very good article. There's a lot of other things that you can talk about in regards to your pregame with your partner. But again, just the communication in regards to especially if you don't know somebody. I think that's the key. If you've never worked with somebody before, it's necessary for you to have a pregame. If you work with a regular partner, or somebody, you work with them once or twice a week. Obviously, it probably does not have to be as in depth as that situation, but it's important that you do have a conversation in regards to, hey, about certain things in regards to that, in regards to certain things that, maybe it's just talking about plays that you've had. I think that's something that's gone by the wayside in regards to, I know that, when I work with certain people, one of the first things we always talked about unique plays that we had so we could reference the rule book in regards to that, in regards to looking and say, make sure we got this right in that whole regard. So with that, I want to turn it over. I haven't seen Wayne. Is Wayne here? Is Wayne at the meeting?
Paul,
Yeah.
this is Chuck Graber, and I just signed on. I had trouble. I've got it downloaded on my iPad, but it didn't recognize the ID. So I went to my phone and downloaded the app and was able to get on that way. But just a comment on that, the Walk Talk, it's called, in the Referee Magazine article. Remember that the home plate umpire has the view that the batter has. Okay, so certain things that you can detect from the pitcher's motion that might be deceiving on the basis from what the batter sees. The assuming the base umpires in position B, he sees exactly what the base runner sees. So with that in mind, any deception or illegal action by the pitcher should be detected by the umpire based on what the person they're working with, either the batter or the runner, views. So that was kind of the basis of that article on how that works. And if I could spend just 2 minutes on a pregame.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead, Chuck.
Okay.
I was just going briefly. I know that we didn't really send notes to each other, but I was just briefly talking about what I spent time with in a pregame with my partners and stuff like
Okay.
that. Feel free to
That's
go
fine.
ahead.
Okay, and after almost 50 years, I get into this habit too, where we're not as diligent on the pre-games as we should be, particularly as you mentioned, if you're working with somebody new. If I'm working with an established veteran and such, we're not going to talk about mechanics or anything like that. We'll talk about maybe the teams, what to look for. Also, one thing that I'm kind of a stickler on is, like, for example, I've got this theory that only the home plate umpire can put the ball in play. In other words, if you've got a second baseman who wants timeout, base umpire calls a timeout. When they're ready to go, the base umpire makes eye contact, points to the home plate umpire, and says, "We're ready to go." The base umpire shouldn't do that, and frankly, I learned that the hard way. If you're working with somebody new, try to make sure that you put them, at in a relaxed position. And the first thing is to be a good example. In other words, do everything the right way, and communication is key. Tell your the new partner that as if you're the home plate umpire, you'll dictate where he should go. And if I'm the base umpire, I will tell the new umpire who's behind home plate where I'm going, and then he can just fill in where he's told to go. The other thing that I just wanted to point out is that I encourage all my partners to ask for help, and I certainly do, maybe more than other umpires, but it's just a great look when you might have a pulled foot off first base, where the base umpire goes to the home plate umpire before he makes the call. Now, the thing is, we've all had this happen where you'll make a call from the bases, and the coach thinks that the first baseman pulled his foot off the base. He starts coming out. Okay. What the base umpire should do after you made that call, and there's the coach is starting to come out, tell the coach to stay right where he's at, that he'll get help. Because we all know that if the coach comes out to talk to the base umpire, he's going to obviously ask your partner for help. The partner's in kind of a bad position because you can give him an honest answer and such, but it's just not great mechanics.
They do.
If you remember that play in the White Sox playoff game against the Angels many, many years ago, where Przinsky was at the plate and swung at a pitch that may or may not have hit the dirt, and and nothing was said, so Przinsky ran to first base, and then Sosha comes out, and by then it's too late. So the home plate umpire, and he can't see it. When you're behind home plate, you're not going to see if the ball hits the ground or not. We just can't see through the catcher. So what he should have done, home plate umpire should have done, is said, "Mike, we'll take care of this. We'll talk." And then you bring in the other umpires, and they'll give you their honest assessment. But I felt it was too late for them to change that call once it was made by the umpire without any help. Just my viewpoint.
Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate that. I want to clarify something, and I know Pat Weber's on here, and I know Mike Swilinski, and I know you guys are doing D1 stuff and D2 stuff and stuff like that. I just want to make sure that in regards to sort of mechanics, in regards to a call at first base, and I think, Chuck, you said this at the end. It's important that and Mike and Pat, tell me if I'm wrong. It's important that the first base umpire make a call. Okay. Don't. What you shouldn't do is just look at the home plate umpire and say, did he have the foot on the base or off the base? You make the call first of what you think the call is, and then just as Chuck said, call time, and even before the coach comes running out, whatever the case is, call time. Put your hand up and then just go confer with your partner. So you're not really putting that home plate umpire on the spot in regards to that. It's his responsibility as home plate umpire to make sure that there is if there's a pull at first base, okay, and he should be watching that as coming up the line in regards to that. Pat, is that Pat or Mike? Is that what they're teaching you guys at the college level now?
Yeah, pretty much. If Pat wants to answer, I don't care. We have the great lineage in college baseball of saying if the coach comes out, question it. Once we go back to your dugout, once we come back with a decision, you cannot further come out and question the call. So that's kind of like we put nip it in the bud right there. That way we don't have any weird escalations. We actually had a back in the NAC conference tournament this past spring. We actually had a situation where Pat, Kevin, and Kevin Worth and I all had to get together and worked out great. So, Pat, anything?
Yeah, same thing. Always make your call at first base. I mean, play umpire should be watching, but you don't actually know what he's seeing, and it's better if we can talk by ourselves without putting somebody right on the spot when you don't know what that answer is going to be.
Exactly. I think that's important, and that's where Chuck was alluding to, is that you have to, and I know that a lot of people have little things that I do. I know that if I see something, if I was on the bases, if I see something that I think that the home plate umpire needs for me to hear, I know that I try to take my hat off in regards to that, or even to come in closer to the situation to even make contact or eye contact with him and says, hey, I think we need to talk before you get into a sort of discussion with the opposing coach or the coach that's coming out to argue that play. So that, I think the bottom line now is that we get the call right. Okay. And we're still at least at the high school level, we're still not at video replay. I know at the D1 level and some other levels are now going to video replay in regards to certain situations. And that's not trickled down yet to the high school level, but probably someday, soon, that it's going to happen with the technology the way it is. So, just so, getting the call right, making the call, getting together as partners, our communication is key. And that goes right back to our initial topic at the beginning, as Chuck said, is that this conversation has to take place in regards to some type of pregame that you guys will get together. You guys do have keys that you can work off each other if you see something and stuff like that. Pat or Mike, anything that you want to add?
I would reiterate what Mike said with I know in college it's a requirement for us to use that verbiage to get together, but I would still use in high school because, like Mike said, it's just you're stopping probably before they start, and if they want to come back after that, you've already given your clear warning that we're not going to do that. So
Correct. And it's a Catholic league, and coaches will like to both get their pieces in. Especially if you change a call, then you got to remember that you got to go to the other coach and you got to explain to him, what actually happened, why you're making the call change, and they're probably not going to be happy with it. So you have to make that conversation, and you got to just say, hey, I'm going to explain to you what happened. Here's what happened, and be honest with them. And this is why we changed the call or whatever the case is. So. Real good in regards to that. Thank you, Chuck, for sorry it took you your situation with trying to get on and stuff like that, but thank you for doing that. And as I said, I will send that thing out about the balks to everyone. So is Wayne on?
Actually, he's trying to join. He just texted me to ask me what the information was for the meeting again. So I'm assuming he's trying to get on right now.
Okay. Well, Rob, can you talk a little about the new rules yet, or anything?
I'm on Mike. I'm good there. I'm unmuted.
Yep.
All right, good. By now, guys, you should have received your rule book, and also you received a little magazine that comes with it here. There's not a lot of new rules this year, but there are many points of emphasis. And some of the points of emphasis, first of all, are and Chuck just talked about putting the ball in play. This year, one of the points of emphasis, which again, not a new rule, just a mechanic thing that we're going to have to look out for this year, is sometimes what we'll do is before we put the ball in play, the pitcher and catcher have already exchanged signs. So they already know what the pitch is going to be. And then we say play, and we point and say play. And at that point, the pitcher immediately starts to come set and wants to deliver the ball or wants to get into the windup and get going. one of the points of emphasis this year for umpires, specifically the home plate umpire, is we're going to put the ball in play. And at that point, that's when the pitcher and catcher either take the sign or simulate taking a sign. We don't care if they do or not, but we do want that pause now in between from when we say play until that pitcher starts to come either to a set position or starts a wind up or starts his pitching motion, whichever that may be, wind up or set position. All they're trying to do is take away the opportunity for a quick pitch at this point. So again, we're gonna say play. If you see the pitcher and catcher starting before we're ready, just again, we're trying to speed up the game. I understand. Stop. Put your hand up. Say stop. Then say play. And I'll generally tell the catcher, hey, let's reset. Get your sign again and let's go. I started doing this a couple of years ago just out of habit because I saw pitchers and catchers doing that. Some of these guys will probably be slowed down a little bit because a lot of these teams now are going to the wristbands with the color codes or the numbers, and the coach is looking over saying 327 or 554, whatever they're doing. But anyway, from that standpoint, we want to say play, and then the pitcher and catcher have to exchange signs. This year, and I think Wayne, when Wayne jumps in, he's going to talk a little bit about professionalism and the federation, specifically, of course, the IHSA. They're really going to talk about professionalism from umpires and sportsmanship and professionalism from teams and coaches. A lot of points of emphasis this year on that. We're looking at excessive celebrations. Some of the celebrations in the past, certainly, kid jacks a home run, makes a great play, whatever. Teams get excited. Some of these celebrations, we see it now in the NFL and things, are becoming more and more choreographed. And what the federation, what specifically the IHSA, we're not going to tolerate that. All right. If you see an excessive celebration, understand the play is exciting. Use obviously discretion. But if it seems to be very choreographed, where they're coming out and the kids are kneeling and dancing around, and they're going through all these very, I say choreographed again, all these things that they've practiced for a specific celebration, we're going to get to the coach right away and give them a warning on that and tell them that's it. Hopefully the coaches, they're reading the same information that we are. Hopefully they're aware of that. We're just not going to tolerate these excessive celebrations. A point of emphasis: buckets outside the dugout. Coaches, pitching coaches sitting on buckets. Again, we know it's a rule. We know it's a no-no, but we still tolerate it at one school or the other. Either the dugouts are tight, the coach, is in a habit of sitting there calling pitches, whatever the case may be. We see it, throughout a couple names here. We see it at Loyola. They like to sit in that little triangle. They're sitting on the bucket. They're sitting here. They're sitting there. Buckets are gone this year. We need to get in the habit. You're going to upset some coaches. Sorry. If you do it early, if we don't do it in March and try to do it in April or May, it's too late. All right. So we as a group need to come together and know that we're going to say no to buckets. The federation is saying no to buckets. Keep everybody in the dugout. It's not new. Again, just a point of emphasis.
Hey, Rob,
I do have a question about that. I'm curious in regards to if a coach comes to you before the pregame and talks to you about extending the dugout in regards to that, if they have actual dugouts and they want to extend the dugout so that they can put their buckets into it, how should you address that?
So Paul, great question. By rule, you cannot extend the dugout toward home plate. All right. So that by rule, you cannot extend the dugout toward home plate. If they want to extend the dugout down toward first or third base and toward the outfield and set on a bucket down there, I don't care. But they cannot extend the dugout toward home plate. Now, specifically, again, at Loyola, they do have, they tell you in advance that, well, here's a little, they use the triangle there because of the way the drainage is and everything. We accept that as part of the ground rules. But if they're doing it just so they can get their little bucket in there, I think we need to address that. All right. Because you can, again, by rule, you cannot extend the dugout toward home plate.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
Noah
Then
Kaufman
after
had
that,
a question.
Paul, I want to ask Rob a question after that. This is Alan Simpson.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, Rob, smaller question. When we were going back to the mechanics in terms of the making sure that signs are taken with the pitch catcher. So this is a smaller thing, but when you stop that in your experience, when you stop it, you're saying they're moving too fast, you stop it and then you restart it. After the restart, they then need to take signs, right? After you stop it, say you guys are moving too fast there, then you restart it, then they need to at least simulate the sign taking, right? Is that what
Yes.
you're saying? Okay.
No, you're exactly correct. They either need to take it or simulate taking it. I don't care if they do it or not. They need to simulate that they are taking it. He needs to look in. I want to make sure that pitcher and catcher are making eye contact and they're on the same page.
All right.
So yes,
Thank you.
yep. Once you say play, then I want to see that eye contact between the two of them.
How you guys doing?
Okay, Alan, go ahead.
First of all, glad to
Good.
be
Good,
back
Alan.
with you guys. I have an issue with that because we have a lot of young officials in CPS, and I haven't had any problems when I work with the Catholic League in suburban leagues. But 90% of our young guys don't know the meaning of putting the ball in play. And me being on the base, I'm steady saying, "Hey, put the ball in play." And then, as veterans, that's what we used to it. That say, "Hey, you got to put the ball in play." And that means that nothing can happen unless you put the ball in play. So, and I know it's kind of like frustrating
Right.
for us being veterans, and we like, you never did put the ball in play. And that's one of the things that you're telling them. You got to put the ball in play, and that's the biggest of our problem of getting the guys to put the ball in play.
Yeah. Hey, Noah, can I pick on you for a second?
Yeah, I knew you were going to.
I do this. So I do this in all fairness. Is Noah and I worked together a couple years ago, actually, and we worked hard. And I was a more veteran official, and Noah's an up and coming varsity official. And it was a great opportunity for me to do that, is to work on some of the smaller points. And that was one of the things we specifically talked about was putting the ball in play. And why do you put the ball in play? And we put the ball in play so that way your partner knows if there's a pick off at first, if there's a balk, were we live or were we dead? And so that's why just because the pitcher's looking in for a signal or the runner's leading off doesn't mean the ball's live. And so Noah and I we talked about that a few times, and Noah, and Noah, thank you so much, because shortly after we did that, by the second 30, it was bang bang. It was on autopilot now. So but it's just important. It's one of those things as umpires that we need to communicate with each other. And again, I'm a stickler for pointing. I say point, I say play. Some guys just point. I like to be very verbal and audio about it. I want to make sure that they hear. That way the coaches know. If there is a pickoff at first, I don't want the first base coach coming to me going, "I didn't know it was in play." I'm pointing. I'm saying play, specifically play, not let's go, not shoot, not hit it. I'm saying play.
Right. And that putting a ball in play can only be that when you do that, the pitcher has to be on the rubber, the catcher has to be in the catcher's box, and the batter has to be in the batter's box. Right. Correct?
You need all those three things.
You need those three things to put a ball in play. So you just can't put a ball in play if the batter's, and he shouldn't be taking a sign out of the box, but he's not he's in the dirt circle and stuff like that. You can't put the ball in play until he actually gets in the batter box and is ready to play. And when that occurs, hey, and the kids will you need to be proactive in regards to that. You got to tell the batter, hey, come on, let's get in the box. Let's get in the box. We're ready to go. Pitcher's ready. Catcher's ready. Let's go. Ball's in play. Boom. And now you're ready to go. Put the onus on the batter to get ready and move the game along, to get that pace of play going. Okay, that was always one of the things that I always thought about when I was doing the home plate game. I wanted a particular pace to the game, because I think players play better when there's a pace to the game.
Right. Just really quick, and I've got just a couple more I want to go through. Is back to when Noah and I were working together. I had a young official call me just a couple months ago and say that he said, I want to move up from freshman and JV ball, and I want to do varsity ball. So what I'd like to do is meet you sometime and talk about what mechanics the umpires use to go back and forth. Like how do we do infield fly rule, and how do we indicate that to look for tag ups. And I pointed out to that young up and coming umpire, said it's not what we do for each other and how we communicate with each other is not important. That's not going to get you to the varsity level. It's the finer little points. And I compliment Noah because he's got a varsity. He's doing some varsity now, and that is just it's putting the ball in play. It's hustling on every play. It's being visual with your call, not showboating. That's another thing that the federation is talking about this year is as an umpire showboating. You're not the show. All right. The game is on the field. You're there to officiate. When you can walk off the field and nobody remembered you, you've done your job. All right. If you're walking off the field and somebody goes, "Hey, nice job today," you can say thank you and keep right on moving. But if you want to be the show and do the strike three calls where you're spinning around and going crazy, some of the things we see on YouTube, you're in the wrong conference. I mean, that's just not going to work. You're in the wrong business. All right. A good demonstrative strike three call, a good demonstrative out call is always good. But again, one of the points of emphasis is not showboating. So again, be firm on your mechanics, be professional with your mechanics, and watch your career certainly grow from there. Really quick, again, in the area of sportsmanship, a chance this year. If the chance, this is where we have to, there's a couple schools, I'm not mentioning any names, but their dugouts can get pretty rowdy. As long as those dugouts are rowdy toward their own kids, that's fine. If they start taking jabs at an error that was made, at the pitcher, at the catcher, if they start doing things toward the defense, we need to immediately put a stop on that. That coach may not be happy that we're trying to take the wind out of his sails or somehow cut their enthusiasm, but there's just no place for that. If a team wants to chant and yell and get rowdy for their own player, that's fine. But if it starts to become anything where you think that it could end up going to fisticuffs later, we need to stop that immediately. If it's going to create bad blood, we need to get out in front of that right now. All right. And is Wayne on? Because one of the things I was going to talk about was one of the things that was going to tie into Wayne. So did Wayne, Mike, did Wayne make it in yet?
Nope, I don't see him.
Not yet.
Okay, why don't you finish it up, Bob? We'll just, we're gonna move Wayne's topic to next month, but why don't you finish up what you wanted to say?
Okay, just really quick. One of the things that, again, from an umpire standpoint is don't be the ball boy, don't be a coach, don't be the administrator. If you have a problem with a fan, tell who's ever in charge. Don't go to the fan and try to handle it themselves. Don't get into a contest of the back and forth with fans. Don't try to be a friend of the catcher. Don't try to be a friend of the coach. All right, get out there, be professional, do your job. At the end of the game, hustle off the field, get to your car, talk to your partner, and just call it a day. All right. So again, hopefully I'll wrap it up. Hopefully you all got your little baseball magazine in the mail, the new rule books. Today would be a great day. Tomorrow would be a great day. Get out, start getting blow the dust off the equipment. It might have shrank sitting in the closet over the winter. But it'd be a great time to go start getting your stuff ready to go for the season. That way you're not waiting until the last minute.
Hey, Rob.
Go ahead,
Al
Mike.
Mercer, hold on a second, Paul. Al Mirza had a question. He said he's new to the CCUA this year, of course. In the culture of the league, have oversized or illegal bats been an issue? Has this been worthy of covering in pregame?
Okay.
Al, Rob, why don't you handle it? You guys are the clinicians.
So in a pregame conference, I'm very simply, first of all, no, I've not had any issues with illegal bats this year, or quite frankly, for any year. When there was a time, even when we had to go in the dugout and inspect equipment, helmets, we might find a cracked helmet, we might find a bat with a crack in it, but I've never really seen an illegal bat in and of itself, other than a bat that was deformed somehow and we kicked it because it was deformed or as I say, cracked. But no, I don't think. Is it worth bringing up in the pregame? You do during your pregame. You say all of your players properly and legally equipped, and you wait for a verbal yes. Don't take a nod of a head. Don't take a shrug of the shoulders. The answer has to be yes and has to be verbal. The next thing you say is all your equipment proper and legal? At that point, the coach is absolutely saying, yes, my helmets are not cracked and my bats are all legal length, legal diameter. They're all within guidelines as stated in the rule book. If the opposing coach feels that there is a bad bat, then the rules will take care of that during the course of the game. You can bring it to your attention, and then you administer whatever the penalty and fine may be there. So I don't bring that up in a pregame specifically, as long as the coach gives me a verbal affirmation that all of the equipment is legal. Al.
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head. We asked them during the pregame conference, is your team legally and properly equipped, and will remain that way throughout the entire ball game. Once the coach gives us a verbal yes, then the onus is kind of off us. And in regards to Alan's question, has it been a problem in years past in the Catholic League? I would say the answer is no.
No.
I agree 100% with both your responses. I don't ever remember taking a bat out of play in the Catholic League in all the years that I've umpired. Thank you very much, guys. Really good job, Rob, Al. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you very much for your help in regards to that. We'll move Wayne's talk to, obviously he's having some issues getting in this today. We'll move his talk to our February meeting rather than wait and go from there. I do want to talk about really a two-pronged mentorship program, and what I'm looking for is some of I'll explain the program to you in two ways. I'm looking for looking at mentoring first and second year umpires that are in our program, and to developing them to have somebody within our organization that they can call, that they can their peer and stuff like that with some years of experience of setting all these individuals up. And I know we had about 7 or 8 new members last year. We have 3 or 4 new members this year. So I'm looking for about 10 to 12 individuals that would do that in regards to a mentoring program. And that's part one. And we'll get more in specifics when I get to know who who would volunteer for a program like that. The second thing is with the signing, and Rob sort of touched on this. You get a lot of umpires that call me or text me and say, "Hey, how come I'm not getting varsity dates?" And I'll be honest, with the COVID situation that hit, and I was doing a lot of college ball prior to the COVID situation hitting, that I didn't really get to know a lot of the younger members in our organization in regards to some of the umpires. And some of these names I've been going on, word of mouth in regards to giving out varsity games to and things like that. We have the distinct opportunity this year, and as you know, Providence it has 2 men at the lower level, both the freshman and JV level. And what I'm looking to do is trying to set up some of these umpires to do that at Providence, to work on a situation where you'd work with a varsity official. Providence has said that if a varsity official goes there to work with a younger official, that they would pay the varsity official $75. That they would, and I know 2-man for lower levels is $65 in our association, but they would pay the varsity official $75 to work with a younger official in regards to just getting to know them and getting to try to help them them improve. So I just wanted you to know that we want to start to do some things in that regard of trying to mentor some of these people that we number one, that being the assigner, that I don't know. Because as I told people as I talked to them, number one, please come to the meetings so we get to know you, so we get to you can ask some questions in regards to you can listen to some of our things about umpire education, and number two, everybody is not everybody a lot of people just think that hey, they've done some games, they've done a couple of varsity games, and all of a sudden they're a varsity official, and that's not the case. I myself, back a long time ago, probably did freshman, sophomore, and JV games probably for 4 or 5 years before I actually became a varsity umpire in regards to that. So, and I'm not saying everybody has to do that. Some officials come right into our group, and they've gone to baseball camps, and they've done all these things, and they're working college ball, and we are more than happy to have them come in. And like we referred to Mike and Pat earlier today, come right into our group and give them varsity games, and they're solid on the field. As an assigner, it's part of my responsibility to put people on the field at a varsity level that are competent, that not only do they think that they can do varsity games, but as I always throw out there, do they know the rules? Do they know the mechanics? Are they up on those things? So it's important that we put people from our association on the field that will represent all of us well, because we're all tied to this together, and the only way we can be successful as an organization, and I think that the CCUA is really a well respected group outside. In regards to that, we do have I knock as I would say, talking to people that the Catholic League baseball and the teams that we have in the East Suburban Catholic, those are some of the best baseball programs in the state of Illinois. So we are working the best baseball realistically in the state of Illinois, top to bottom. Okay. Are there better teams out there? Yes, there are some better teams out there. But from the top to bottom conference, when you look at that Catholic League Blue, I would put any conference in the state against that conference and say, okay, if we were a crossover tournament, I would say that we'd probably see a few Catholic Blue teams in the finals. So with that being said, when we do those games, we got to have the best people available on those games. And that only comes because if people try to work hard and they try to become better and they try to go to clinics and they try to do some things and stuff like that. So it's important that, hey, you just can't umpire from March 15th to May 15th. That's, and then you get the state tournament. You just can't umpire during those 2 months, those 8 weeks. Umpiring starts a lot sooner than that in regards to getting in good physical shape, making sure that you are up on the new rules in regards to that. So that's why I think this mentorship program is very essential to our group. And I think that we've also talked to the board, to certain board members I've talked to individually, talking about trying to get stipends for individuals who want to be mentors that we would pay. We would give them, $50, $100, or whatever the case is, to actually work as a mentor with somebody, so that we would then, and you would report to me, the assigner, and saying, yeah, this guy's ready for varsity baseball. That's what we want to know. Is this how is this individual? Where is he in regards to that? Is he ready for the varsity game? Is he ready to do, a Catholic League white game? Is he ready to do a Catholic League blue game? Is he ready to do non-conference, varsity games? That's what we need to know in regards to that. And there's, I would say that there's about 10 to 15 people that are out there that I am unsure of in regards to putting them into a situation, in regards to on the field in a high profile game, just because of the fact that I don't know who they are. And I think that from a signer, you have to understand my perspective in that whole situation. With the signing, the last thing I want to cover today is with the signing, is that we still have about 40 to 50 open varsity slots that I still have open, and that I'm sort of doing some last minute tweaking in regards to that and trying to get games to some of the younger officials at this point in time. We have about 60 JV slots open, and we have the rest of the other 180 slots or 190 slots are all at the frost offer freshman level. And a lot of those are 2-man games at Providence. So there's probably about 40 or 50 open slots at Providence, but in essence, that's really not the case because, they do want 2-man, and we have a lot of them covered with 1-man situations. So, so are we doing well right now? Yes, we are doing well, but I'm hoping that if you're a varsity official, if you have an open date, right now, if you could, number one, sign up to go into our self-assign, because you do have the ability to go into self-assign as a varsity official. Look at the self-assign and maybe take a couple JV dates, 1 or 2 JV dates, because if we do get rain, you're going to get moved up to a varsity game anyway on that day. And we would rather keep you in our organization and you go work for Fox Valley Blues or work for UMPS or whatever the case is, or IOA. We would like you to do that and give back something to our organization. And the second thing is, I would also appreciate if we could maybe make that situation a 2-man game where the association would pay that umpire for doing that. And if I tie you up with somebody, especially because we don't have that opportunity on the north side as we do on the south side with Providence. So I'm looking at, maybe a Fenwick game or a Loyola game or a Notre Dame game to set some of that stuff up so we can get some of our younger officials from the north side to work in a 2-man situation in that regard. So, Mike, you said somebody has their hand raised?
Yes, Paul. Wayne was just able to join us.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna hold off for his talk until February, because it's already an hour, and everything went fine, and stuff like that. So Wayne, I know you got some great words of wisdom for us, but we're gonna move you to February, and we're gonna go from there. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
But you lied on my head.
Okay. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. I hope you found it very beneficial. We're going to be doing the same thing in February in this regard. And then also pay attention, as Rob and Al said, for an email from me in regards to from
Hey,
Arbiter
Paul,
for the
I'll
clinic.
call you
Okay?
later. Because
Have a great
I
one.
don't think you guys got
Yes.
me listed in your database. This is Alan Simpson.
Who am I talking to?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
You've been getting emails from me, right, Alan? Okay, great. Yeah, I'll try to get. I'm sort of busy tonight after
No,
this
I'm
right
not
now,
talking
so
about now.
I have to go
I'm talking
somewhere.
about soon.
But if you yeah, just give me a
Sounds
buzz
good.
tomorrow or something like that, and I'll try to get a hold of you.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you for coming tonight. We'll talk to you.
Bye, guys.